The ordinary man on the streets of Lagos especially, estate agents pose the biggest challenge to their ability to rent a decent accommodation. This is because of the outrageous agency fees they are charged for their services. On the show today, we'll be looking at and how we can uncheck the huge charges of agents and caretakers in Nigeria, most especially in Lagos. Join us on the show now is the Special Advisor to the Governor of Lagos State on Housing, Barrister Toke Benson. Good morning, are you there? Okay, so I'm told that we're yet to get her on. But what are your thoughts on this issue of agency? Because of the charges, I mean, many of them, there are so many layers. The person that told the person, the other person that told the other person, you are constantly cutting and cutting. Before you know it, a property of 500,000, you're paying almost 800,000 naira just for agency fees.
No. This is a job. It's a job.
No.
It's a job. There is, when I facilitate your process of acquiring a property,
yes,
I get a commission for that.
But you are facilitating on behalf of her because she is the agent. She's the one that knows the landlord. So she tells you.
So what, and I think people should be informed.
Right.
The official agency fee is 10% of the sum per year. Agencies that are greedy will be saying, pay your agency fee over 2 years.
7.5.
And if it is, and so it's 10%. Most in the average rate, the average rate is 10% for agency. When you're renting a house, you pay 10% for agency, you pay 10% for legal agreements. So for me, what I find challenging is that many times you don't even get an agreement. Many times the agreement comes in a term of something that has been passed on. It's not a personalized document written for you, which is where the 10% would have come in handy. That somebody wrote a personalized document taking in your considerations in renting the house. But there's a fee, and many people, because of desperation to move into a new house, are forced to pay ×2, because before we used to pay rent for 2 years and they charge agency for 2 years. If you paid rent for 3 years, they will say it's 10% agency on this thing. But the government, thankfully, under Fashola, cuts down the rents that you must only pay 1 year rent. If you are still paying 2 year rent in Lagos, you can legally contest it that you are only allowed to pay 1 year rent. But there's an agency fee that should be paid because somebody worked in the process.
I mean, I know of somebody who paid agency twice. Because she wanted to get a house. She told Mariam, who is an agent, she didn't have access. You are the other agent. So that 10%, she paid 10% to her, and she had to pay another 10% to this person.
She was
20%.
So what I know that they would normally do is that there's a let's use your 10% example, is what is used. So that 10% will be shared with whoever the agents are helping. So if I was supposed to get 10%, if I got it directly, in the case where I had to get her help, we may share it 5%. If we got a third person, we'll share it in 3 ways. Wow. Okay. So it reduces with the agent actually than affecting.
So I think I know there are 2 types. So we have those who want to do outright purchase. That's where you have, because one person likely will not get the brief. When you go online to search for houses to buy, you see this number, you see that number, you see that number, and by the time you start chatting, you are talking to over 4, 5, 6, 7 people. Now, when they sell that property, you just pay the percentage you're supposed to pay to the person who brought you. He now goes back and shares with the other extended family members that they are working, together. But I know that when it comes to rental, I know landlords do not give out permission to different people at the same time. I have one agent that I'm using, and then when that agent comes and he gets the house, the 10% goes to the agent. Now, if the person stays in the house and is renewing for the next year, nobody is calling the agent to pay anything. No. Now, another thing I wanted to spot out is, like Toke initially mentioned, it's a job. Now, these people have offices, they are working. I sit in my office and I say, I want a 3-bedroom apartment in somewhere like Lekki. And I tell them, they are the ones who go around looking for those houses. They pay their transportation, they buy their fuel, whatever it is. They ensure that they get you options. Then you choose, they take you there, you look at it. So you don't give them a kobo. No, hold on, no. You don't give them a kobo till you're done. When you now finally decide, okay, this is the house I want, you now pay 10% of the actual amount to the agent. They have done their work. They have done their duty. They leave you to go and look for their houses. Trust me, you won't see it. You won't get it.
Now, my question, and I hope we can get the special advisor very soon, because we got duped when we were trying to get our first house. We lost 1.8 million naira for our rent at the time. Yes, immediately the person. So is how do we find the right agent? How do we verify that this agent actually is an agent, is genuine? Because we went there, we went to his office, we did everything.
Wow.
In fact, interestingly, he had taken somebody else's office. Maybe, I don't know how he got access to the person's office.
Wow.
Anyway, so he went there, and we went to have a meeting with him, and he seemed normal. So we gave him the money. By the time we went back there the next week, it was clear, it was locked down.
Okay, so Mariah,
No, I wanted to add
So
something.
he's having access to the right agent. We need that kind of
There was
stuff.
something also that I find that a lot of people complain about, which happens in Nigeria but doesn't happen abroad, which is you'd have, for your property, you would have like your own registered agent or estate agent, and that is their job. They are the only ones you can contact concerning that property. So in Nigeria, you have many agents to one property, but you should have one person who you pay, and you have like a retainership with that person, and then you do that. But no, but you find a lot of people who say, the house was given to me to sell, and then the owner will say, well, it's someone else that sold it, but uncle, I've been on your job since for how many months trying to get someone. Then all of a sudden you give it to your cousin who knows somebody, and it's gone. And so all that time you spent looking for is gone. There's no payment.
There was a magazine.
That is something that
there was a magazine back in the day. Back in the day.
Your search. When you're searching for a house, if you talk to an agent, you don't pay into the agent's account. No. Don't ever pay into an agent's account.
At all.
The agent only gets agency fee. You pay into the landlord's account. Now, if an agent wants to scam you, obviously they'll tell you this is the landlord's account. But for me, we wrote a check, and our advice, write a check.
Before you pay?
You see the house, you write a check. Then what she was saying, there are estate
Let me pause you
managers.
for a second. Let me pause you for a second. I want you to, because this is important that we get it very well. Let me take this call quickly. Hassan, are you there?
I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Good morning, all of you.
Good morning.
Please, people that are looking for a house to rent in Lagos are facing serious challenges. And I can see that some people are not in tune with the realities on the ground in Lagos. This matter we are talking about, of same percentage, most of the agents are not contented with that percentage.
Yes.
And they now skyrocket it from 10% to 20%.
Wow.
And you now see legal agreements coming into it. Even this issue we are talking about of Lagos State government putting an order, how many agents, how many homeowners are ready to abide by the rules? Nobody is doing that. So let us keep that up by one side. People are facing it. If we are ready to face it and solve the problem, let us face it once and for all. Secondly, about this issue of marriage, I can see that people are still dragging between the superiority of man over a woman in a marriage. In the Western world, Morayo, you are very much conversant with this in America. If you go to rent a house as a woman, they will ask, or a man, they will ask a man, how much is your wife contributing to the rent? Go to the UK in London, they will ask you, how much is your wife contributing to the rent? We are operating in different spheres. In Africa, we are divinely ordained to be above the women in any kind of this matrimonial relationship. Because if you go on the day of the marriage, let me tell you what obtains. They will tell you in Hausa, the ciyarwa, the suturtarwa, the kome kezake. What they are telling you is that you take care of her feeding, you take care of her clothing, you take care of all the necessary. So, you are not telling me, the person that is doing all this, you people mention it, that a man, when he gets married to a woman, he takes responsibility beyond her. Her parents, her brother, her this and that.
Okay.
And no woman is taking that on the part of a woman.
All right, Hassan. Hassan, you know what? Tomorrow we will continue this conversation. Let us not respond to it because you just opened a whole can of worms. We'll come back to that one tomorrow. But I'm told that Special Advisor to the Governor is on right now, so we'd like to pose our questions to her. Mariam, would you like to go first? Welcome to the show, madam. Are you there?
Yes, Mariah, good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you. So before you came on, we've been talking about the issues we Lagosians go through with agency in Lagos State, and we've talked about the fact that some of them are they pad these agency fees. When some of them are asked to pay, prospective landlords are asked to pay 20%. Also, we don't have a verifiable database to find right agents, because sometimes we just end up into quacks and people who are going to who steal our money. So what is Lagos State doing to rectify this issue in housing?
Thank you so much, Morayo. If you've been following us at the Ministry of Housing, we have an agency called the Lagos State Real Estate Regulation. We're telling agents that they must register with the Lagos State government so that we have a compendium of who they are and what they are doing and the properties in their custody. This will give us the opportunity to have a database for Lagosians and Nigerians in general on how to put housing in a very, very orderly manner. So we are telling people, do not patronize agents who are not registered with the state government. We've been on advocacy since last year, January or 2019, telling people that it is very, very dangerous for you to use agents who are not known to us. Because if you use these agents, and we have all the cases of fraud that we've been dealing with also at the agency, we won't be able to help you. So that's what we've been telling agents, people to do.
Right, okay.
Yes.
So, ma'am, I would like to know, and I'm sure many people would like to know, within Lagos, what would you say is the official agency fee? If you're renting an apartment, if you're buying a place, if you're buying a property, what should be the official rate that should work across? Is there one that works across board, or are there different categories?
So I would tell you that varies, and the reason why I'm telling you it varies is because it depends on the figure of the transaction. Regular agency fees is not supposed to be more than 10%, and the client has the opportunity or the right to negotiate further. So we've had instances where people are telling us that they've been charging them 20%. It is wrong. It is unethical. It is illegal. Agency fees should be 10% and below, and it is based on negotiations. So we have instances where they have big number transactions that run into millions and billions, where the agency, between the agency and the legal fees, it's 10% and it is negotiated. And I know that big figure transactions do not even pay 5% of agency. They negotiate to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%, depending on what the number of the figure of the transaction is.
Let me put you on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation with you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we still have the special advisor to the governor of Lagos State on housing, Barrister Toke Benson. Yes, Bisi had a question for her. Go ahead, please.
Okay, ma'am. So you mentioned that Lagos State is asking agents to register under their platform. I would like to know, how do we, the ordinary man who's looking for an apartment, identify this platform? How do we know that these agents are registered? What do we see? What do we hear to know that this is genuine?
Where do we go to?
Where do we go to?
Okay, for you, Morayo, if you not count it as advertising, it is www.lasrira.lagostate.gov.ng. And if you go on our platform, you would see some registered practitioners there. So you only need to just go there, check if the practitioner you want to use is actually registered with us. If he is not registered with us, it is time for the citizens to take the bull by the horn. But I'm telling the agents that unless you are registered with the Lagos State government, we will not patronize you. We will not use your services, because at the end of the day, it becomes the problem of the government to take care of all these issues surrounding real estate transactions and fraud in the sector. And we've had quite a number of issues that we're dealing with. So we're actually pleading with the people of Lagos that government is a two-way street. We give and you give, and we meet halfway. So if this is an opportunity to tell the people of Lagos that unless that agent or that real estate practitioner is registered with the state government, you should not patronize them.
Right. Okay.
Because you run a risk of falling into the...
Verify.
What did you say?
Do they have ID cards?
Yes, we issue ID cards. We also issue certificates, and they have serial numbers that are on their licenses that we give to
let me
them.
get to a few more questions.
Okay, so since the time of late Jakonde, we've always had our housing deficit in Lagos. It's still ongoing. What exactly is the framework for Lagos to bridge the housing deficit? Because largely for those of us that are practitioners in real estate in Lagos, find that the the incentives are not there. Getting documents out is still tough. So you're trying to help bridge the housing deficit, but you don't get a good handshake from the government, while at the same time the government knows there's a problem. So what is the government doing, and how is the government currently helping real estate companies to bridge the housing deficit in Lagos?
Thank you, Toke. Lagos State government has a department that deals with public-private partnership, and that means that we provide the land and we encourage real estate practitioners to come and build, because there's an influx of people into Lagos on a daily basis. They come in their thousands on a daily basis, and on a monthly basis, millions of people troop into Lagos. So the government of Lagos cannot solely provide housing for the people of Lagos. So we encourage private practitioners to do the same with us. On the issue of title, title also, like everywhere else in the world where there's a boom in real estate, the process is slow because we're dealing with a lot of transactions on a daily basis. We are putting everything that we can in place. We're going to have a digital platform where people can go in and check in their registration, do everything that they need to do without even meeting with an agent. That is being done in the Lands Bureau right now. But for housing, we are encouraging private partners, and we also have a lot of incentives when it comes to housing, which I'm sure quite a number of you know about.
So we know the law in Lagos State. You're not really, you shouldn't demand 2 years, but there are still landlords demanding 2 years. And there's this issue of ethnic discrimination. Oh, you are from this part of the country, I cannot give you my apartment. These things we know are illegal, but how can victims reach out to the government to help them stop this behavior by landlords? Even single women say, I heard that single women say are having issues. Single women say are having issues.
I was going to ask you that you did not include women having those issues.
Yes.
Yes, we can address issues, but the problem is they are private and they have the right to admit whoever they want as tenants or lessees or lessors in their properties. On the issue of the 2-year tenancy, we've had quite a number of people doing the 1-year tenancy now. But I understand the fear of the landlords or the owners of properties. When people take their properties after they pay 1 year or 2 years, they refuse to follow up on the rent. Yeah. But we already have a bill in place now, and that's the mortgage foreclosure law, where the executive has signed it. It's gone to the House of Assembly. And this takes care of the sit-tight tenants. So if you have an agreement with the tenant or you have a mortgage in place and that person defaults on the mortgage, we have a process whereby you don't even have to go to court anymore. It's already in there. It's going to be in the agreement. And once you breach it, you get the first notice, you get the second notice, the foreclosure thing kicks in, and then we can get you out of the property. Wow. So people are scared to rent their properties because of sit-tight tenants. Yes, and the number of years they spend in court, but that's not going to be the case anymore as soon as the House of Assembly passes that into law.
Right.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. That's really helpful because I know a lot of landlords who found themselves in those sort of situations. But I need to, there's another thing that I hear a lot about, especially like people who are not resident in Lagos or have just newly moved to Lagos and they're buying property. They have these omoniles that always disrupt and harass their development happening. So where do they go? Who can they trust? Because usually they will say to me they've paid several people who are supposed to help handle it, and then another faction will come and they have to pay. So who handles this?
Well, you know, there's a store in America. It says an educated consumer is our best customer. So we have something called the Land Grabbers Committee at the Ministry of Justice and Lagos State Government, where you can report such issues. And also at the Lagos State Real Estate Regulatory Authority, we also help people in resolving such issues. But I also want developers to know that the land in Lagos belongs to some indigenes of Lagos. So when you say Omonile, some of them have legitimate rights to these lands, and maybe in the process of the transactions amongst family members, one family member has been left out of the transaction. So it's better for you to do your due diligence when you are buying. But if after you have done due diligence and you've done what you need to do, you've paid the consideration for the property, and you still have such issues, we have the Land Grabbers Committee and we have Lagos State Real Estate Regulatory Authority that can help resolve such issues. I know that is a constant problem that developers have in Lagos, and we're doing everything possible. We're also planning on having like a mini conference or something where we're going to invite the landowners, invite the so-called Omonile, invite the developers, and bring the two factions together, and so that we can have a smooth transition when it comes to our transactions. Because we want Lagos to become the real estate investment destination in Africa, and if possible, the world, where you get the most yields. So we need that cohesion between the two people, the land.
We have to wrap up with you at this time, but thank you very much. As I said, you will come back properly after you've done the needful.
Yes, I will.
Then we'll have a conversation properly. And because we have so many questions for you, but that's all we can take. Let's go on the break. When we come back,
I know. Thank you, Mariah.
We're speaking with the special advisor to the governor on housing in Lagos State. Stay with us. We'll be right back.